You probably think of your memory as a perfect recording of your life, right? I mean, that vivid memory of your graduation or a big family dinner, it feels like you can just hit play and watch it all over again, crystal clear. But what if I told you that our memory is less like a camera and a whole lot more like a creative and, yeah, sometimes surprisingly unreliable storyteller?
Just think about it for a second. This idea of memory as a security camera, objectively recording every detail and storing it away for perfect recall, it's incredibly appealing. It feels right, doesn't it? But if our brains really work that way, how come even our sharpest, most trusted memories sometimes play tricks on us?
All right, first things first. Let's dive right in and tackle the security camera myth head-on.
So, on the one hand, you've got the popular myth, memory as reproductive. It's a perfect, objective recording that you just pull up like a file on a computer. Simple. But the scientific reality? It's that memory is reconstructive. It is not a video file. It's more like an assembly of different fragments that your brain pieces back together every single time you remember something. And because it's being rebuilt each time, it's subjective and can absolutely change over the years.
So where do we actually see the evidence for this? Well, let's take a look at the cracks that start to appear in that seemingly perfect recording, especially when it comes to the memories we trust the most.
I want you to think about a major world event, maybe where you were on 9/11 or when you first heard about a major historical moment. Those are what we call flashbulb memories. They're incredibly vivid, they're emotionally charged, and it feels like a photograph was just seared into your brain. We tend to have incredibly high confidence in these memories.
Okay, but here's the absolute shocker. Research on these exact memories shows that after just a few years, as many as 40% of people's accounts contain significant inaccuracies. 40%! And this is even while the person recalling the memory feels 100% certain that it's correct.
And this really gets to the core of the issue, something researchers Schmolk, Buffalo, and Squire pointed out. The key takeaway is this. Just because a memory feels real, just because you are totally confident in it, that does not mean it's accurate. That feeling of certainty is actually a terrible guide to how true a memory really is.
Okay, so if our memory isn't a camera, then what is it? And more importantly, why does the brain even work this way? Let's get to know the brain's inner storyteller. You see, from an evolutionary point of view, the brain's main job isn't to be a perfect library of the past. Its real job is to keep you alive and help you navigate the future. Storing every single trivial detail of your day would be a massive waste of energy. So instead, your memory prioritizes information that's useful for making future decisions. It's not about replaying the past, it's all about guiding the future.
So how does it do this? Well, one of its key tools is something called schemas. You can think of schemas as mental templates or scripts. For example, you have a schema for a birthday party that probably includes cake, presents, and singing. So when you try to remember a specific party from years ago, your brain might fill in some gaps with details from that general template, even if those details weren't actually there.
A classic experiment by the psychologist Elizabeth Loftus shows just how powerful this is. Researchers told a teenager a completely made-up story about being lost in a shopping mall as a little kid. Now, by tapping into that teenager's existing schemas of what being lost would feel like, they actually managed to implant a totally false memory. Later on, the participant recalled this event with rich emotional detail, even though it never, ever happened.
And this brings us to another huge myth, hypnosis. So many people think it's a key that can unlock that perfect recording we talked about, but the truth is actually the complete opposite. Hypnosis doesn't just fail to improve accuracy, it can actually impair your memory, increase errors, and make you way more likely to create false memories.
And this isn't just theory, it has dangerous, real-world consequences. There was a case reported in Time magazine where a crime victim failed to identify a suspect, a man named Mays, in 2 different police lineups. But after she underwent hypnosis to enhance her memory, she picked him out of a 3rd lineup with, and I quote, absolute confidence. It's a really stark example of how a reconstructed, hypnotically influenced memory can be dangerously, tragically wrong.
So, hearing all this, it might sound like our memory system is just deeply flawed, right? A buggy piece of software. But what if I told you that this whole reconstructive process is actually a feature, not a bug? Let's try to reframe this and look at the wisdom behind our so-called imperfect memory.
So let's be really clear here. Your memory is not a static hard drive. It's a living, breathing, dynamic process that is constantly at work.
And why is this a good thing? Well, because this flexibility is exactly what allows us to learn from our mistakes.
It helps us adapt to new situations, and it lets us weave together the ongoing story of who we are. Think about it. An unchangeable, rigid memory would be like a prison. A flexible one is what allows us to grow and find meaning.
So, let's just toss out that old metaphor for good. Your memory is not a cold, objective security camera. It's so much better than that. It's a wise storyteller, constantly working to make sense of the past in a way that helps you confidently navigate the future. It's not always perfectly precise, no, but it is always working to find the lesson inside the story.
And all of this leaves us with one final thought to reflect on. If our memory truly is a storyteller, shaping our understanding of ourselves and the world around us, then it's worth asking yourself, what stories are your memories telling you?